we are also called to reason and faith. And logically, you can't make the leap from God exists to IVF is wrong. You have to fill it in step by step. And I like the flow of the logic. I mean, any question you can ask about life and existence, the church has a very logical answer that's tied into a whole lot of other doctrines. It all fits together so beautifully.
Yes.
And in this case, I thought, well, I really need to start with God exists, because if I don't start with God exists, how are you going to explain human dignity? And to explain human dignity, you need to understand that what you said earlier from the Baltimore Catechism, that we're body and rational soul made in the image and likeness of God. And to understand that, you have to understand that it's not just that God exists, but that God exists and revealed things to us. So God became man to tell us about the Trinity, to tell us about the incarnation, obviously, to tell us about salvation. And so it's not just that God exists, it's that God communicates to us, and it's that God communicates that self-image and likeness to us, and that is where our dignity comes from, our intellect and will made in the image and likeness of God, the highest creatures. And you have to understand all of that before you can even get to the part about children are gifts, and that children have a right to be born in the love that is united in marriage, bodily and spiritually. Not spiritually, but bodily over there in the petri dish, bodily and spiritually, in the most intimate of unions where two become one. We don't say that about any other relationship. And that your child, me, you, every one of us deserved and had a right to that kind of being loved into existence, as you say in your brochures, which is exactly the point. We have a right to that kind of love.
Yeah.
And then from there, the last premises get into why IVF is not that kind of love.
Here is the dignity of the human person. And sometimes people look at the Catholic Church and say, oh, you've got a pope, you got bishops, you got all this hierarchy going on. You got men over women, and all this hierarchy that's terrible. We like equality. But the fact is, in the most basic thing that's really the most important, the church is the most egalitarian organization on earth, because we think that the child in the womb is the same as the child in the arms, and that the child in the womb is the same as the child in the petri dish.
There's something very powerful in telling people the church is against IVF, because the church defends the right to be loved of every single human being, including you.